I'm Christine Pender and I'm coming to you from Monroe, Utah. What I'm going to be making for you is a chicken and spinach rolls. And they're pasta rolls. The original recipe was chicken and spinach cannelloni. I've saved time and stress by switching out and using lasagna noodles, and we're going to make rolls out of them. So same delicious filling with an added layer of flavor with our Kraft Philadelphia Cream Cheese. So I'm going to show you what we do. I have here in this pot water boiling, salted really well. We want a lot of flavor in our pasta, and I'm going to cook them for about 5 to 7 minutes. We're using 2 different sauces. That's right, 2 sauces. We're going to use a red sauce and we're going to use a white sauce. And the 2 together are just delicious. So our white sauce I'm going to homemade. Our red sauce, I grabbed a jar at the market when I was there today. I have here 1 stick of butter that I've melted, and to that, turn on the fire, I'm going to add 2 cups of heavy cream. So in we go. I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of garlic powder and a half a teaspoon of pepper. Now we're going to cook this until it's nice and thick. Well, almost thick, because we have the star of the show that needs to be added into our beautiful white sauce. In my white sauce, or my Alfredo sauce, I always like to put a little bit of freshly grated nutmeg in there. It gives a wonderful added layer of flavor, and that's what I'm all about, is flavor. So we're going to let that heat and get a little bit thick, and like I said, we're going to add one of the stars of this dish to it, and I'm going to show you how to make this Alfredo sauce into something spectacular. And now I'm going to add Kraft Philadelphia whipped cream cheese. Now I like the whipped in sauces because it blends easier. It's light and fluffy, and it really incorporates very well and a lot easier than the cube. It can be done, it just takes a little bit more effort, and since we have a lot going on in this dish, we're going to take a shortcut. It's just as delicious. So we're going to whisk this in, and I've used 4 ounces of this, and I'm going to use a half a cup of shredded Parmesan. Alright, so it is nice and thick. So what we always do is we want to taste it. We want to make sure that the flavors in the sauce is seasoned really well. Perfect. Not too salty. You can taste the Parmesan. It's creamy. It's velvety. Everything I said it would be. Alright, see, it's bubbling. It's nice and thick. So our pasta is done. It's al dente. Now I've drained it. I'm not going to cover it in olive oil or butter or anything to keep it moist or keep it from sticking. We're not going to take that much longer with the filling, so they'll just be fine. What will happen if I add the olive oil, the sauce is just going to run right off of it. And what I want the noodles to do is I want them to absorb that sauce. I want to have the layers of flavor that I'm looking for. If I cover them in oil, it's not going to have that, and we're going to have bland tasting noodles, which we don't want. So I have here a pot. I've heated it up. I'm going to put some olive oil in, just a couple of circles around. I've chopped up 1 whole onion, a teaspoon of minced garlic. We're going to add that to the pot. And I have 8 ounces of mushrooms that I'm going to go ahead and add to the pot. We're going to simmer these until they are just slightly tender. Here's our onions, our garlic, and our mushrooms, and they are all nice and tender. So I'm going to pull these out, put them in a bowl, and we're going to move on to our chicken. I have here 1 pound of chicken tenders that I have had the fabulous ladies at the butcher shop ground up for me. I'm going to saute it up until it's no longer pink. Because our chicken doesn't have any flavor just yet, I'm going to add in a half a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Our chicken is all nice and browned and cooked. I'm going to add back in the onions and the mushrooms and the garlic, and as you can tell, it has a little bit of wetness to it still. I'm adding 8 ounces of chopped spinach. I'm going to mix this up all the way, mix it up thoroughly, and I'm going to let the water, the liquid from the mushrooms and the onion evaporate. Remember earlier where I said we have 2 stars to this dish? Well, our first one was the Kraft Philadelphia whipped cream cheese for the sauce. Now for the filling, I am using Kraft Philadelphia spinach and artichoke cream cheese. And this really adds a good flavor to it. I love it. And I'm also adding a cup of Italian blend cheese. So I'm going to mix this all up. And I'll be back in a minute with everything ready to assemble. We'll show you how to put it together, pop it in the oven, and we're almost there. The red sauce that I picked up at the grocery store, you're just going to pour in probably about half the jar, because I'm going to show you how to make a really good serving of it later. So we're going to put that aside. And now our lasagna noodles that we're going to use for our rolls. And lay them down. Take a good scoop and spread it all the way up. And you can see the strings of the cheese as they're melting in the filling that we have here. So I do better with my fingers. And we're going to just roll them up, making sure we're keeping the filling stuffed in the sides, seam side down. And we're going to continue to do this until we have used up all of our filling, which comes to about 10 lasagna rolls. So now we have our delicious more than Alfredo sauce, and we're just going to scoop it over. And what I love about this is when the white sauce meets the red, of course you know what happens, it turns a beautiful pink. We're not going to use all of the sauce. We just want to make sure our noodles are wet on top and bottom when they go in. The rest of the sauce, I'm going to show you what we do when we plate it up. So there we go, nice and covered. Take some of our Parmesan cheese and sprinkle that on top. Alright, this is going to go into a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. See how delicious it looks? So we're going to serve it up. What I did is I have my pasta bowl. I have doused the bottom with some warm red sauce. We're going to serve these. Place it right on top. Now we're going to lather some more sauce on top. Let it drip down into the red sauce. And we're going to garnish with some fresh cut parsley. So now we're going to taste it. I'm going to be sure that I get some red sauce and some white sauce in there. You can see the cheese is all melty. Perfect. The pasta finished cooking in the oven. Didn't need much more. The flavors are so good. That Kraft Philadelphia spinach and artichoke cream cheese adds another layer of flavors, and like I said, I am all about flavors. This is so delicious. It is a colorful dish, and with everything that it presents to you, there is no way that you're going to fail in this dish. So once again, thank you Kraft, and thank you Paula, and enjoy my chicken and spinach rolls.